Oh man, did I make a mistake last night? I don't know what I was thinking, but I tuned into MSNBC, specifically Joy Reid, and here's what I saw.
What do you make of the fact that it does seem to me that the country, and in many cases the media, seems numb to it?
I think there's no question that the country and the media is numb to it. The threshold in this moment is very simple. Everything that Donald Trump says should be taken literally and seriously. What he did today was threaten the employees, the journalists at NBC News. What he said more broadly is he's going to shut down the free media in the United States. What he announced today as a candidate for president in 2023 is he's coming after the American media. He's coming after his political opponents. Why is he running for president? He's running for retribution. Retribution, according to Donald Trump, is a philosophy of avenging anybody who was against him. So we are on the edge of an abyss in this country. And it seems that there is a paralysis, a numbness, a total disregard for the clear and present threat. There is something extraordinary happening. The people who are trying to tear down democracy in the country keep telling the rest of the country what it is they plan to do, to such a degree that they have announced their plans 6 months into 2025 to have taken apart the whole of the federal government. Now, since FDR's time in office, the legislative metric in the United States has been 100 days, not 6 months. This is a racist code whistle to every white supremacist in the country because it's how long it took Adolf Hitler to take Weimar Germany to a complete and total dictatorship. That included, by the way, the military swearing an oath of allegiance, not to the nation, but to the Fuhrer. And the military was the institution amongst many in Germany that were the last holdouts to this. But once he was in power, they were the first to submit. And what Donald Trump is signaling to the officer corps of the American military, you get in line behind me, the leader, not the idea, not the Constitution, or I'm coming for you too. This is an epically dangerous moment.
Wow, that guy, by the way, the expert on Nazis or something, that guy's name is Steve Schmidt. He's a well, I guess he calls himself now a former Republican. In fact, he was John McCain's campaign manager, which explains an awful lot, doesn't it? Now, let's follow the thought process through here with Steve Schmidt and Joy Reid, those brilliant political analysts here for MSNBC. I think the first point that he was making was that the government under Donald Trump will be weaponized and turned against his political enemies, and something horrible is going to happen, like utilizing the FBI and the Justice Department to bring criminal charges against his political opponents, just like what Joe Biden is doing right now against Donald Trump. I don't think that's the point Steve Schmidt was trying to make, because Joe Biden's great and Donald Trump's the problem, but you get the picture. But then this final part, I love it when they talk about code language and dog whistles. Donald Trump said that it'll take him about 6 months to right the ship in our federal government. He was going to turn it upside down and drain the swamp and clean out agencies and get rid of all the bad people. And it was going to take him about 6 months to do it. Little did you know, when Donald Trump said that he was really sending a coded Adolf Hitler Nazi propaganda message to all of his stormtroopers, just waiting to hear this signal. That's what Steve Schmidt said on MSNBC to Joy Reid, without any laughter, without anybody saying, "Really, Steve? That's a Nazi thing? Really?" So let me get this straight. The next time your favorite baseball team has a really bad season, like the Yankees, and their general manager comes in and says, well, we're going to turn things around. It's going to be a building year. And 6 months from now, we're going to have a much better team. He's really being Hitler when he says that. And, Joe Biden, the president, he spent a lot of time over the last couple of years in the White House talking about his policies and how as soon as they implement them, well, things are going to look better. So, for instance, when he promised he was going to get gas prices lower, I remember them saying, yeah, these things don't happen overnight. It won't happen immediately. It's going to happen, maybe 6 months down the line, 6 months from now, things will be better. Or inflation. Remember how crazy inflation was. And remember how we had problems with the supply chain, right? And ships were backed up at the ports and you couldn't get any baby formula on the shelves. And everybody was in a panic because the economy was so awful from top to bottom. And there was Karine Jean-Pierre or Jen Psaki or Kamala Harris and yes, Joe Biden standing in front of the cameras saying, well, you have to give it time. Our policies have just been passed. And maybe 6 months from now, you'll start to see some relief. Little did we know that they were just being Nazis. But after all that, there's certainly one thing you can be grateful for, that you don't get your news from MSNBC. Oh, do I pity anyone who does.